Welcome back to Firewatch Business, and I have Jeremy LaDuke, owner of Epic 9 Marketing Outfitters, author of Climb, which is Risk and Rewards in Evaluating Your Brand. That's a very interesting subtitle. And you're co-host of a podcast called Marketing Trailblazers.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
appreciate you coming in and joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So you're in Knoxville, Tennessee?
Right outside of Knoxville in a little town called Maryville.
Maryville. Yes, you got to pronounce it correctly, right?
Maryville. Yeah, how'd you know?
Yeah. I grew up in Tennessee. I grew up in a little town called Sparta, which is
I've heard of it.
South of Cookeville, Tennessee. So
yeah.
That's a cool place. My sister-in-law is from Maryville.
Yeah.
So, very cool. No, I love Knoxville. That's where I met my wife. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much. And like we were talking about, you are a marketing guru, expert in marketing. And
I've been doing it for a while. I don't know about guru, but yeah, I've been doing it for a while and helping businesses out and seeing some success with it. So
so one of the things it says that you conquer marketing mountains. What is a marketing mountain?
Yeah, so I think it varies for every business. We kind of call the marketing mountains those goals you're trying to achieve, right? So if you think about that goal as the summit of the mountain, what are you trying to achieve with your marketing? And so whether it's a revenue goal or you're trying to get to a certain measure, we always put them as measurable business goals, and then we build marketing plans on how to get there. So we try to get the right route up the mountain, the best route, the fastest route, and the best tools to get you there. And so in that sense, we're kind of like outfitters, right? We're going to tell you which way to go and equip you with the things you need, and then sometimes guide you up the mountain to get there.
So when we talk about marketing is it's a lot of art, and it's a lot of follow-up and analytics. That has been in my experience, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but you do work to try something creative, and then you go back to see if it worked through the analytics. And when you are looking at that, does it go by business specific on different things you should look at that work for a specific, like, I'm a side hustler as a DJ, but my full-time job is a CPA. A CPA business compared to a DJ business, is that a completely different type of marketing?
In some ways, yes, right? Like, I mean, I'd be silly to say it wasn't, but in many ways, good marketing is good marketing, no matter what industry you're in, right? Because at the end of the day, the marketing's objective is trying to get your brand in front of people and nudge them to make a decision to buy something from you. So the same principles are going to apply no matter whether you're a DJ, a CPA, a manufacturer, a doctor. The principles are the same. How you execute those principles might vary from place to place.
And when you say it varies, are we talking about the type of marketing you're doing, or a type? There's different types of marketing which are just off the chain, and it could be so varied, like you said. But I mean, are you brand building? Are you wanting people to click through? Are you wanting people to purchase? I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of different options. And as small business owners, like we are, we need sales.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the way I think about it is you've got to kind of look at the sales funnel. We take the approach of that sales funnel model. That sales funnel is going to look different for different types of businesses, because also, if you're a B2B or sometimes B2C, you're going to have a sales factor in there where, you're going to have to actually pitch somebody one-on-one, and it's going to be less marketing, more sales. But a lot of that funnel and a lot of that journey is going to be influenced by what you do. And so I think it involves looking at where your potential customers are, and how many nudges can you give them to get down that funnel. Now, the smaller the budget, the lower on that funnel you have to start, right? If you've got if you've got $500 a month to spend on your marketing, you can't start up at brand awareness and expect to get too far with it, right? If you need the phone ringing tomorrow, Google ads are probably going to be the easier route there, or developing a really robust kind of hustle and grind sales process. But as you build that up, as you get more revenue, and then I think you can kind of start building up that funnel. But I would say as soon as you can, you need to have some sort of investment, your time, energy, money, some investment going into each of those levels as soon as you can, because that's how you make an efficient sales or marketing strategy.
So how important is it when we talk about that and you say, okay, now we're going to do focused ads on Google or whatever, how important is it to make sure I see a lot of this stuff about the personal ideal customer, your ideal customer avatar. How important is that really?
I mean, I think there's strong opinions both ways on it. I think it's a helpful thought process. But the idea that a local business is going to pinpoint the exact type of, very, very fine-tuned, exact target persona is pretty unrealistic. Mm-hmm. Especially like you don't have all the data and the tools and the resources that a large business might have to dedicate towards that. But I'll say that, kind of envisioning who that is helps you target your messaging, right? And I think that's the danger a lot of local businesses get into is they think their product or their service should appeal to everyone. Oh, everybody could use this, or everybody needs this, and that might be true. But when you put an ad out, or when you put some messaging out, or you get on Facebook, you're not talking to if you talk to everybody, you're gonna get nobody. And so if you need to figure out what type of person and how can you connect with people, and be willing to maybe lose some customers to gain more, right? And so it's that idea. If you try to appeal to everybody, you're not going to win anybody over. So I think there's some helpfulness in figuring out what sort of messaging and brand personality you should have, and not being afraid of maybe turning some people off so that you can really capture a larger audience.
Yeah, one of the things you said was a brand identity or a brand. Do you look at like as if you're doing like CPA work, you're more of a serious kind of brand. You're not going to bring in a bunch of clowns to get on Instagram and do stuff like that to try to market your CPA firm. Do you need to kind of focus on where you're at as you're focused on who you're going to go after?
So I'll say this: I wouldn't rule out clowns. I really wouldn't. I always tell people the biggest risk you can take for a local business is playing it safe. Because if you play it safe, you're going to be forgettable. When you are in a boring industry, and CPAs tend to be, it gets kind of boring, right?
100%.
Lawyers are kind of boring. Marketing it's what we do is not like super exciting, right? So when you're in kind of, and they tend to be B2B businesses, but B2C businesses fall into this category as well. But if you're in a boring industry, don't be afraid of doing something that is a little bit, I'm going to put risky in quote marks, right? Don't be afraid of doing something that's a little risky, because what they found, and when I say I'm talking about marketing and research scientists that have actually done the work to figure out how do brands grow, how do businesses grow, both small and large. What they found is that brands that are distinct and are memorable are the ones that grow. And so you really have to have a mental availability. You have to be able to build a memory structure for folks to remember you. So think about another boring industry, insurance, right? Car insurance, life insurance. Um, they've figured it out, right? Nobody wakes up in the morning saying, "Man, I really want to change my insurance company. I really want to go find new car insurance. I'm just not happy with my current car insurance. I want to go find something better."
Right.
So nobody wakes up. Nobody wants to do that. Even if you know you should do it, you don't want to do it because it's a hassle. It's ugh. So most of the insurance companies that are out there, the larger ones, have realized that that's the position people are in, that they are not in a sexy industry. So they've got to stay top of mind because at some point, everybody's going to have to change insurance, right? Whether you might be getting married, you might be getting divorced, your kid you might be moving out of your parents' house, or your kids might be getting a car. Some sort of life event's going to happen, and you're going to say, "I need some insurance for this thing." And when you are in that position, they want to be top of mind. And so that's why you have Flow and the Gecko and
Right. And the
Emu
emu leaving
Emu.
home, the
Yeah.
emu leaving home to
Oh,
go sell.
I love that commercial.
I
Like,
too. That's
yeah,
classic.
it's Liberty Mutual is probably one of my favorite. I think they've really they tap into my sort of humor. It's just it's kind of quirky. I love them, but they've realized that, and that's why they do the things they do. They hardly talk about insurance in their commercials at all. Like it's about building those memory structures so that when you think, I need insurance, who am I going to use? Oh, Liberty, Liberty, Liberty. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Liberty,
works.
Liberty, Liberty.
Yeah.
So you're going to remember that. So what I see happening on the local business level is local businesses often tend to not think of themselves as brands. They think of themselves as craftspeople, right? I do this thing really well, but they don't think of themselves as a brand that needs its own personality and its own identity. And I think part of that is just kind of out of humility, right? They don't want to call attention to something, bigger than themselves, right? But really, for a local business to grow and to thrive, it needs to embody what is the brand of that business. And if you can make a brand that is distinct and maybe a little bit out there, right? It's got to stand out from the crowd somehow. But make a brand that's distinct, then you have a much, much better chance of growing. We talked about the sales funnel. One of the things I like to do is I draw a diagram when I'm going through this with clients for the first time. I draw a diagram of kind of like the funnel from the top down. So you've got this wide circle, which typically represents your brand awareness, right? And then a middle circle, which is your interest and your consideration. And then the smaller circle, which is the lower funnel, people who are ready to buy, right? And so when you're looking at that from the top down, it's this these concentric circles that are getting smaller. What people are always fighting over is that small dot in the middle, right, of those people who are ready to buy. That's what everybody's. That's why if you run Google ads, if you're a plumber and you're running Google ads, you're probably paying $15, $20, $30 a click. Because everybody's fighting for, to show up for emergency plumber. And so if you're doing that, you're wasting a lot of money, right? The people who figured it out and who have thriving businesses, they're out here and in the brand awareness section, and they're winning those customers before they get to the decision-making point. If you can win them when they're out here, you don't have to fight over them when they're down here. You've already got them. They're not going to search for, plumber near me. They're going to search for a specific plumber by name because they're like, oh, what's the number for so-and-so plumber? Because they've been won from the brand awareness and from the creativity on this scale. The hard part though is that doesn't happen overnight, right? That takes time, it takes money, it takes resources. And so that's the long-term game. And that's what I encourage any local business. That's where you want to be getting to, is start building your brand now, figure out what that personality is, and then start putting ad dollars to get that brand out there in front of people.
And that's a very good point, because we have a local plumber here who's been in business for 20 or 30 years. About, I'd say 10 or 12 years ago, he started the Smell Good Plumbers.
All right.
And that's one of the things he does is you Google smell good plumbers in South Alabama, his name's going to pop up. You don't know his name, you don't know the name of his company, but you do know the Smell Good Plumbers, and that's his brand that he's really
I'm
built.
fascinated by that. Why are they called the smell good? What's the catch?
I don't know. I guess they're going to show up and smell decent. I don't know if plumbers show up smell bad. I've never had that experience where a plumber showed up and they stunk. I don't know. I mean, a lot of butt cracks maybe, but not a stinking
Right.
one, you know? Right?
Yeah. No, that's fantastic though. Interesting. That's the first I've heard of that sort of angle on plumbers. I think home service businesses tend to be the worst at it, right? You look at every HVAC company that's out there, and they have their logo is going to be some combination of a flame and a snowflake, right? It's gonna be red and blue, and one of the companies here, I wish they were a client. I wish I had this idea and I could claim it, but it wasn't. But one of the companies here in our town, they started using a Yeti, abominable snowman, as their mascot, and it's on billboards, it's on their trucks, and so now, like whenever you think of heating and cooling, in my mind, I see that Yeti, and there's this saying in advertising that fur sells. If you have a brand, if you can put a mascot with it, yes, you are automatically going to increase your memorability by about 25%. And if you use that mascot in your social media, you're going to increase your engagement of upwards of 40% just by having a mascot in it. You can take the same exact post, put a mascot in it, and it's going to get you better reach.
So I need to go get a dog.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, figure like something. I don't know, do something that's authentic to you and your brand, but get some sort of animal and it'll, yeah. I've been trying.
A pet.
What's that?
I'm not getting a pet.
Yeah.
I don't want a pet.
I mean, it doesn't have to be your pet. Just, it could be a stuffed animal for all it. Yeah.
Now see, that would be funny. That'd be funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, building a brand seems like, in this world of immediate satisfaction, immediate results, I have a client now that is looking at hiring an influencer because their engagement in their social media is not working. Of course, they have no professional helping them. It's all on them. And you go into that and you go, you really need to have somebody to help you through that process to determine where you need to be, not just willy-nilly shooting dollars into different things, hoping that something will stick. That is a plan for failure, in my opinion. And trying to convince somebody that they need a professional, get the help, is not that easy.
Well, and it's not that easy for them to find either, especially if they're a small business. So, what we found, I started Epic 9 about 11 years ago, and most of our clients at that point were smaller local businesses, right? You're one stop, kind of restaurant or mom and pop shop, smaller, home service type of businesses, but as we grew, and as the economy changed and evolved, and as technology evolved, like as all these things were happening and changing, it made less and less sense for those types of businesses to come and pay us to do the things for them, because we had to change our pricing so that we could survive.
Right.
And the tools that they had access to were becoming more and more abundant, right? And so where we're at now, I think, is if you're a small business and you're under that $1 million a year revenue mark, you're kind of in this no man's land of marketing, where you need to market. You have to market if you want to survive. If you want to make it past that 5-year mark, you've got to market. But the hard part is most don't have enough money to go out and pay someone to do it for them.
Right.
And what we see is a lot of local businesses will do what you're talking about, right? They're like, all right, I've got this little bit of cash this month. I'm going to go throw it at this influencer. I'm going to go hire a freelancer to do this, or I'm going to make a video and post it on social and hope it goes viral, right? And so they're throwing a lot of things at the wall and hoping something sticks. And most of the time, none of it actually does.
That's
And
right.
so what happens in all that process is there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted money, a lot of relationships burnt. Um, and it's not because necessarily the people that they're working with are bad people. I think they really think they're doing something good. They're trying to do something good, but at the end of the day, they might just not be good at it. And there's a ton of freelancers out there. There's a ton of influencers now. Everybody with a laptop or a camera or a drone is now a marketer.
Mhm.
We are the most saturated industry, I think, in the world. You can go to any gathering in your town and throw a rock and probably hit five of us, right? So, but there's only a handful in any community that are actually good and doing things that get a return. And you may find that gem, right? You may find that diamond in the rough where you're paying them $250 a month or $500 a month, and they're just cranking out social media posts that are getting you so much publicity, and it's going great. That happens, and I'm glad there's people out there doing that. But most of the time, small businesses they're in that frustrated cycle of, I need marketing. I don't know how to do it on my own. So I'm gonna trust this person or this company to do it for me. And they may take $500, they may take $1,000. And what happens when you go to an agency at that level and you take $1,000, if you were to come to us and you were to say, I've got $1,000 a month, do something for me. The minute you come to us, half of that's going in our pocket, right? We're paying our bills. We're putting food on our table, right? So 500 of that is going to us, and so you only have $500 left to do something with, whether it's ads or whatever. So what we developed the Climb Club for was those businesses that are under that $1 million a year revenue mark that need to really just be proficient in DIYing their own marketing.
Right.
And we've got resources on how to do all the things from social media to email marketing, and then just a lot of fundamentals about this is how marketing actually works and what you need to be thinking about. And so when you're in that $1 million a year or less mark, like, it's still a hustle and grind but you need to get over that mark. And it's slightly arbitrary. Some businesses it's less than $1 million, some businesses it's more than $1 million, but it's a good target to shoot for. But you need to get over that mark so that you have enough money where it makes sense to go to an agency or hire someone in-house to do it for you. Because up to that point, you get what you pay for, and you typically don't have enough to pay for something really good that's worthwhile. Does that make sense? Am I kind of hitting the nail on the
think
head
you're
with
exactly
what
right. And
with what you see?
yeah, I think that I see that a lot, because especially my generation of people, and you're like, well, you need to be on social media. They have it doesn't click with anything in their head to say, oh crap, I need to do a video right on this, right? And then when they get back in the car and they're driving down the road, oh, I should have done a video. You got to have that mindset. It is a mindset of change of, I've got to get going and doing these kind of things. I think one of the things that I try to tell people is it's consistency too, right? You need to be consistent in what you do. Posting one thing a month is not going to help you at all on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you're going to do it. You got to be more consistent, and you got to be thoughtful in what you're doing.
I 100% agree. I think consistency and patience is important, especially if you have a good idea. Like, if you have a good idea today for your brand or for a campaign, you're going to get tired of it a lot faster than your customers are going to get tired of it. You're going to see it every day. It's going to wear on you, but your customers are only going to see it, once a month or once a year. And so keep that in mind, because what we see a lot of times with small and large businesses is they've got a good idea, they've got a good campaign, and at some point the owner will get tired of doing this particular thing and want to change it, but before they really see the full return on it. And so I would say, I would encourage people, um, give, if you've got something good, stick with it for about a year. Right. What I'm talking about, is more things like, if you've got a TV ad running, or if you've got a radio ad running, you don't have to change it every month. If you have a billboard going, you don't have to change it every month. Just keep the consistency, and the familiarity helps build credibility with your clients, right? So this is one of those other things that studies have been done, and they found that the more people see something, or the more they hear it, they automatically trust it more. And it's fascinating. That's
That is.
why, yeah, that's why people tend to date people that are in their friend circles, because they see their faces more, they hear their names more, and so they're automatically attracted more to them. And if someone from outside that looks different than them comes in, that chemistry is harder to happen. So I can point you to the studies that have been done, but it's fascinating how our minds work. We behave in very irrational ways, and that's something that I think is hard for a lot of business owners to understand. Is when people are going to the store, or when people are looking for your service, they're not thinking like little economists, right? They're not in their head tabulating all the reasons why they should pick one way or the other. They're making an emotional decision most of the time, and then figuring out reasons to justify that emotional decision, right? They're deciding, once they see that particular thing, they're saying, I want that one, not for necessarily a rational reason, but because it connected with them on some level. And so then they start looking for, well, this is why I want this.
Mhm.
So they justify it for themselves. But at the base, a lot of our buying decisions are really irrational.
Well, and where our people the most, when we talk about my viewers and what they're looking for, they have to do it themselves. That's where they are right now. That's their stage in business, and that's a lot of the people that I talk to they are small business owners, and they have to do it themselves. The marketing part of it is something they struggle with. They absolutely struggle with, and we talk about consistency all the time about it. I'm going to add the whole thing about not changing it up that often, because I think that's genius. I mean, I never thought of it that way, like you explained it, but that just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Uh, and as we, when I was, I worked for McDonald's restaurants. I worked for a franchisee. I was in McDonald's for 30 years, proud Hamburger University graduate, and so it, their marketing is top of mind and it's consistent. I mean, how long have they been using the same tagline, loving it
Yeah.
for? And now you realize that that's the reason why is bringing more credibility to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as soon as you said that, I heard it in I heard the ba 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 ba.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I heard that in my head. It's audio, jingles are underrated. Like, if you're a local business, get you a good jingle. That's one of the kind of the best investments that you can make, right? Get you a good jingle and just stick with it until it annoys the hell out of you, right? Because what if it's annoying you, then it's probably sticking in the minds of your customers. There are several local businesses here that, like, I can sing you their tunes, and it helps me remember them. And we've had the opportunity to write a jingle or two ourselves, and it's always fun. Um, we kind of test it out, and, like, we'll kind of build it out. And if we're not singing it or thinking about it, for a few days, if it's not a little earworm, then it's probably
Yeah.
not worth doing. But if you can get one that kind of just sticks in your head, it's worth, paying the money to get somebody to produce it and get it on the streaming radio. Now is very affordable. Get it on somewhere where your customers can hear it.
That's good point, especially with radio and TV ads now on the streaming platforms. you can get in there and do some local stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it's all very accessible now.
and it's not that difficult to make, right? I mean, it's with equipment we have today, you can go out there and do some filming for yourself and it not look like total crap.
Yeah. Yeah, you can with your the latest iPhones, they are probably better than most of the photographers' cameras that are in your town. It's fascinating how good these things have gotten so fast.
Yeah, it is wild. Absolutely. So, you know, if you sat down in marketing so complex and it's all over the board, I mean, I go back to my McDonald's experience and gross rating points for buying TV and all those kind of things just gets so overwhelming for anybody. For a small business person, I think we've covered several things that key things they need to do. Be consistent, have a get a pet, and then you know, that kind of thing. That what is the very first, when you get that new client in there? What is the very first thing you do?
We ask them what their goals are. That's what we start with. That's so we have one of the courses on Climb Club is a course we call the 9 elements of epic marketing, and that ties into our name, Epic 9. Um, but we walk through these 9 elements, and the very first element is goals. If you're not aiming for anything, you're going to hit it every time, right?
Right.
And so it's funny how many businesses have gotten to where they are. They're not, they're successful businesses, but we say, what are your goals for this next year? And you just kind of get blank stares. Or I say, well, we want to do more business. We want to sell more widgets, or we want to get more clients. And we often kind of make the smart aleck response, be like, well, how about we'll buy something from you, and you've achieved your goal. You got more business. So we always push people for a SMART goal, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And if we can start there, then that's how we determine where that peak is, right? That's how we can roll the map out and look and say, all right, if you're right here, if this is your situation now, and you want to get over here, we can then map out what that best route is to get there. And then we can keep track of it along the way, right? We can, it's just like if you're hiking in the wilderness, you're going to pull your compass out and orient yourself and say, all right, are we going in the right direction? Are we making progress? But if you don't have that goal, let's say it's not time bound, right? Then how do you know you're making the right progress that you need to? And so, so setting the goal is by far the biggest, most important thing you can do. And sometimes that goal is determined by necessity. It's like, what do you have to achieve this year to survive? And sometimes it's set by desire, right? Where are you wanting to get to as a business owner? Where do you want to be? And so whatever's determining that goal, just get it, write it down, and stick to it. And that's really where you start.
So you mentioned the Climb Club a couple of times.
Mhm.
Go into a little bit what that is.
Yeah, so it's an online community. It doesn't matter where you are. It's geographically ambiguous. You can join. We've got a month free trial, and you can find resources, video resources, written instructions, step by step to dos on how to do things like set up your Google Analytics, or how to set up a Facebook Meta, or how to get your ads going on Google. We've got step-by-step instructions for all those things. Some video courses on basic marketing fundamentals, email marketing. We're adding to that, trying to add to that every week. But then I think the most valuable parts of Climb Club is a weekly mastermind where you can
Right.
come, you can join other local business owners and get and give advice. Ideally, what we're trying to create is an environment where people who are having a particular struggle or in a situation, there's going to be other people that can say, oh, hey, I've been there. This is what I did. This is how you can get beyond it and get to the next level. And so that I think is the biggest value of Climb Club. But there's also all of the just nuts and bolts, how to type of things. If you're trying to figure out how to get your hands around your marketing and reel it in and DIY it, then it's a great place to start.
That is a great resource for people, especially when you are a small business owner under that $1 million threshold. Like you said, it just makes sense. The mastermind part of it, people don't really understand how much they can learn if they just go in there and ask.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen some success stories in the short time that we just launched a few months ago. And in the short time that we've been doing it, we've seen success stories where people come in and they say, here's what I'm trying to do. I'm having some trouble doing it. And, someone's thrown out ideas. And then, a few weeks later, they come back and say, hey, I did that thing. And now I've got 2 new clients. And so it's a great place to not only get support, but also to get ideas.
That is fantastic. Well,
and if can I pitch the book too?
Yeah, absolutely. You can.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're like, all right, I'm interested, but I'm not ready to, make a full commitment, because it's a time commitment. And I've put the disclaimer on there. If you don't have 4 hours or more to give to your marketing every month, then you're not going to get a lot out of it. But if you can carve out 4 or more hours a month to really focus on your marketing, then you can use Climb Club and it can be beneficial for you. But if you're in that boat where you're just trying to kind of fit some things in where you can, I wrote a book last year called Climb, and it is a kind of a DIY guide for local businesses. And when I say local businesses, I think we're on the same page. We're talking about businesses that have a footprint in their local community. And so it's how to do all your marketing. It takes you through everything from branding to websites to social media, to just local community involvement, nonprofit sponsorships, all that sort of stuff. It's in there, and it does 2 things. One, it guides you through that and gives you the nuts and bolts, but also in every chapter you get to follow the story of Eva Marley, who's the main character. And she is taking over her father's business. Her father's health is failing, and so she steps in to take over the book and toy store in their little town. And you get to see how she does all the things in a concrete way, so you can see, all right, this is what this looks like in real life. And you might not be a book and toy store owner, but you can, with a little imagination, you can see how it might apply to your business as well. And so you get kind of that, you get the story that walks you through it, but you also get, every chapter also has a lot of just nonfiction nuts and bolts, and also some online resources to help you out.
And the book's called Climb. Mm-hmm. Jeremy LaDuke. And where, and you can find it on Amazon, I'm assuming?
You can. So what I encourage people to do is, if you have an Amazon gift card, please go use it. Take their money. Don't let it go to waste. And get the book on there. If you're using cash out of your wallet, I encourage you to go to the climb .guide, theclimb.guide, and you'll find links to all the things. But I encourage people to use bookshop.org, because every book you buy off there will benefit a local bookstore. And so you can actually go in there and pick a bookstore in your hometown. And when you buy a book off of bookshop.org, they will get a portion of the proceeds.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Bookshop.org. That is very cool.
We hear a lot of people about support small businesses, but when you pull out your credit card receipt, if your money's not matching where your mouth is, then try to make that line up. Spend money on your small businesses rather than Amazon.
I couldn't agree more. We're we're big time in the chamber, our local chamber of
Yeah.
commerce, and it makes such a big difference when you go in these people's business and you see them and talk to them and you're buying products from them. It's just, I mean, it's the local Ace guy. I mean, he owns that franchise. That's his bread and butter. That's where he makes. And even though it's a big name, he's still, that's, you shop with him, you're really shopping with him. Same thing.
Yeah.
We have Page and Palette downtown, small bookshop, which is a very cool place. And so I like that idea. That was very nice. I appreciate you saying that. So so it's called Climb is the name of the book. All right. Anything else that I missed that we need to touch on, Jeremy?
No, this has been great. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to be on here.
Well, I appreciate it too, man. It means a lot to me and to hopefully our viewers that'll get something out of it. I certainly got something out of it and what I need to do for myself. So I love that part of it. If you're not, you got to constantly burn learning, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I appreciate your dedication and your contribution to the small businesses. Because we're all in it together, and so we've got to support each other and push each other along.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Thank you so much, and hope everything. As an Alabama guy, I'm not too happy with Tennessee's success right now, but you didn't go to Tennessee, right? You went to ETSU, right?
ETS, yeah. ETSU,
You're a Pirate.
Kansas City, yeah, Buccaneer. Well, when I went, we didn't even have a football team. So that's relatively new for us. We had one in the past, and then I think we were so bad that they just said, forget it, guys. And I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we got one, and they wound up going to the national championships or something. So I don't pay attention. I don't keep up with it. So I have no problem with you being from Alabama. There's no hard feelings at all.
I love it. All right, man. Thanks for everything. And we'll talk soon, man.
All right. Thanks.